Hello ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at the newest release by the company Dua Fragrances, and this one is called Poseidon's Cologne, so stay tuned. Now, before I begin the video, I do want to mention that this product was sent to me for review by the company, but all opinions will remain my own. But as always, I do want to remain transparent with my loyal subscribers. So the perfumer slash creative director for this company is Massam Raza. This fragrance was released in 2019, and this is an inspired expression or a clone of Aventus Cologne. So for those of you who don't know, Dua Fragrances is mainly a clone house. They do have some original creations, many of which are actually pretty good, but they aim to create inspired expressions or clones of more popular and sometimes unobtainable niche fragrances. In the case of this particular offering, this is a clone of the brand new Aventus Cologne. Now, I always want to make the disclaimer that if you are a fan of the original, I always recommend that you go out there and purchase the original. Many times, the original will contain captive ingredients or captive molecules that are licensed for use only by that company. So other companies will never be able to fully replicate a particular fragrance. They might get 90% close, 95% close. I'll tell you how close they got it with this one later on in the review. But if you want 100% the original, you always got to go with the original. However, if you want to create a similar experience at a fraction of the cost, I do think that clones are a really good alternative for those who do not wish to spend $300, $400, $500 for a single bottle of eau de parfum. So this one, of course, is inspired by Aventus Cologne. Aventus Cologne, for those of you who don't know, is a take on Aventus that is both masculine and feminine. It's unisex, it can cater to both sexes, and it does feature notes of mint and vetiver, an ample amount of citrus in the opening that kind of distinguish it from the original. I'm excited to tell you what I think of this smell. Let's start things off with a closer look at the presentation. So the first thing to notice about this presentation is the box. They have since upgraded the presentation, and so it comes in this box. It has the Dua logo here on the front. It says Dua, but it translates to prayer. It's Arabic. And then on the inside here on the left, you have this written blurb that talks a little bit about the company and what they aim to do. On the right side of the box, you have a silhouette in which the bottle rests, and it does rest in there pretty comfortably. The concentration for this fragrance may be located on the side of the box. And the back of the box has the concentration once more, the size, and the ingredients. Now the bottle for this one is really nice. It does have an image of Poseidon here in the front on top of the Dua logo. It says Poseidon's Cologne, and it says Inspired Expression right below it. The name of the fragrance may also be located on the side of the bottle. The cap for this fragrance clicks into place very securely. You can pick this one up from the cap. The distribution on the atomizer is nice and wide. Let's continue with the smell. Now, as soon as this fragrance opens up, you are going to get a burst of freshness on account of a variety of different citrus ingredients. So as opposed to this fragrance kind of going in just one direction, you have the bergamot, you have the lemon, you have the orange, you have a melange of citrus in the opening. And I really love that marriage of citrus and the overall vibe that it conveys. Once this fragrance starts to dry down, of course, you do enter somewhat familiar territory in the case of the original Aventus. So for those of you who don't know, the original Aventus, it's been out since like 2010. It has become one of the most iconic niche fragrances of all time. And the original Aventus also contains pineapple, apple, blackcurrant, birch tar, which is not found in this one, by the way, ambergris, which is an iconic Creed ingredient used in a lot of Creed DNAs. In the case of this fragrance, however, they did aim to create a more unisex scent. And of course, when I say this fragrance, I'm referring to Aventus Cologne. And of course, this one is the inspired expression of that. This is a more unisex fragrance. So it's kind of marketed for both men and women, and this is one that kind of has that Aventus DNA in there, but it doesn't fully commit, and so it doesn't have the birch tar, which, believe it or not, I actually quite enjoy. Although it's a bit smoky, and some of the earlier variants do feature the birch tar, I think it sort of lended this contemporary masculine quality to the fragrance that is no longer found in this variant or this version. Nonetheless, it does sort of have this creamy, smooth, polished undertone that I do seem to enjoy in combination with a little bit of mint that is used used in the mid. So the first thing that I'll talk about is the mint. The mint that's used in here is not as strong as the mint that you would find in some other fragrances like Cartier Roadster Sport, Aqua Decima by Eau de Thalie, 1861 Renaissance by Xerjoff, the list goes on and on. However, the slight presence of the mint in here is enough to give it a sort of minty camphorous vibe that sort of opens up your nasal passages, and it's enough to put you in an invigorating mindset. And so I really enjoy that, and I think it's a combination of the mint with the geranium that kind of almost lends it this pseudo fougere quality that I think will appeal to a lot of people, especially those who actually like Viking. So if you're a fan of Viking from the House of Creed, there's something in here that's also in that same mint vibe, however not nearly as strong. And of course that green element is maintained in the base as well, with the presence of a little bit of vetiver that sort of cleans things up and adds this nice refined edge. In the very base of this fragrance, however, you do have some woods. It's not discernible so that you can tell which woody note is responsible for the overall smell. It could be a balance of cedar wood, sandalwood, blonde woods, what have you. And the pineapple that's utilized in here, or it's actually a molecule called manzanate, it adds this nice, fresh, tart fruitiness that I really enjoy about the fragrance, and it's what harkens back to the original Aventus DNA. And of course something similar can also be found in Poseidon's Elixir Mod 1, 13ZZ, 11Z, the original 1, 2.0, the list goes on and on. So for those of you who don't know, this is actually part of a collection or part of a series of different Aventus inspired fragrances, and a lot of people have sort of put out their own Aventus inspiration. So in the case of this one, I do think that this is a solid iteration of the original Aventus Cologne, which came out not too long ago, believe it or not. In the case of this one, a lot of people seem to be concerned with a comparison. So how close are the two? Now, as I stated earlier in the video, due to trade secrets and captive molecules and certain licensing procedures, they will never be able to fully recreate the smell of the original. They just have limited access to certain raw materials, so they'll never get it 100% close, but by God, this one is like 90% close, 92% close. The only reason why I'm able to create such an assessment is because I did the diligent juxtaposition. I smelled the two side by side, and I assessed, and I dug, and I scrutinized, and I analyzed. But truth be told, if you're smelling it in the air, you're really easily going to be able to fool somebody and say, yeah, I'm wearing Aventus Cologne, and they probably won't question you. It performs really well. It smells great. It's a 90 to 92% similarity. And if that sounds appealing to you, at the very least, I highly recommend that you check this one out. Definitely sample before you buy. Don't blind buy. But I do think that this is a solid version of Aventus Cologne, and I think they did a wonderful job with this one. And I would also like to add, my wife loves this one. It was my scent of the day today. I also wore it to work yesterday, and I did receive a couple of compliments with this one too. Nothing over the top or too dramatic, but a couple of coworkers who passed by me in the hallway said, wow, you smell good today. They didn't ask me to write it down or anything like that, but I did receive some positive attention, and that's to be expected from an Aventus fragrance or even an Aventus Cologne inspired fragrance. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, as I've said before, not really unique. This is a clone, and so it's a copy of a more popular niche fragrance. And so it really doesn't earn any points for uniqueness, but the overall smell is incredibly pleasant. There's something really likable about this one. You have the mint, the green nuances in the undertone, the citrus, the pineapple, no birch tar, so to speak of. You do have some woods in the base with a nice bit of creaminess. The woods, however, are not necessarily discernible, so you can't really pick up on what type of wood is being used, but it's a smooth, creamy, polished undertone that I really enjoy about the scent, and the overall smell is one that I would imagine would garner a few compliments as well. In terms of the versatility, incredibly versatile. One thing that I've always said about Creed Aventus, which happens to be one of my favorite fragrances, I know I mentioned this an innumerable amount of times on my channel, is I love its versatility. It can be worn dressed up, dressed down, casual, formal, you name it. I do think it veers a little bit into masculine territory, and I would definitely wear it all seasons. The only thing that would probably hinder the versatility is the fact that it's pretty expensive, and so it's not really a fragrance that a lot of people would want to wear casually. The average consumer, I think, would reserve wear for a more formal scenario when they're really wanting to make a really good impression. In the case of this one, however, especially if you can use a coupon with it, and they always run promotions, you can get this one for like what, 45, 50 bucks for a 30 ml extrait de parfum concentration. And so I do think that this is a pretty good bang for your buck. And then last up, in terms of the presentation, I do like the upgrades. I do like the theme, retaining the whole Poseidon thing, but also making it different from bottle to bottle. And my final verdict on this one is I am really enjoying this scent. I'm loving wearing this one. It's something that definitely creates the experience of Aventus cologne. And of course, to the average person, when they smell it in the air, they're not really going to be able to pick up on the differences. However, if you do take the time and you juxtapose and you scrutinize and you assess and you do this and that, you're going to pick up on the differences. But if you're smelling it in the air, if you tell people you're wearing Aventus cologne, of course, you'll be able to fool them. Of course, we're not in the business of fooling people, but I do think that this is a really nice alternative to Aventus cologne. But once again, if you like the original, again, I always recommend that you go out there and purchase the original. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of Poseidon's Cologne by Duo Fragrances. If you own or have tried anything by this brand, I would love to know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you are new to this channel and you would like to support this channel, if you took something of value from this review, I would love your support. It's easy and it's free. The only thing you need to do is click that red subscribe button in the corner. And this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance-related content, it will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads, and that of course includes reviews just like this one, top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, and a whole lot of other fragrance related content. Thanks again for watching. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.